Coming up on 617 at KLIF, if you have a Yahoo email account, whether you know it or not, you are the victim of the latest cyber attack, which took place back in August of 2013.
And we're just finding out about this.
Yes.
Doesn't that drive you crazy?
I know.
And the fact that they get all of our information, they've got to do something about making computer security better, foolproof. Robin Geske been looking into this story, and you talked with somebody. Tell us a little bit more about it. Morning, Robin.
Good morning. Yeah, I talked to Shawn Tuma. He's a cybersecurity expert. He's an attorney with Scheef and Stone, and we talked to him about a lot of those kinds of stories. Mm-hmm. I talked with him this morning, and I asked him basically the same thing. I said, how come it took so long, and for it to have affected every single one of the users of Yahoo?
Well, the thing is, if you ever had a Yahoo account and you didn't actually delete it,
right?
You were part of this, because it's the same. I got my Yahoo account, probably 20 years ago, but I don't use it. I use it as a backup email or, junk mail and stuff. But
still they could get some information that they needed to.
It still has my name and address and phone number and all that stuff.
Right. And that's what he was saying, that we don't know exactly what they have. Yeah. I mean, they haven't released that yet, but he said that he thinks that what they were going after was just specifically the email address itself, because he was saying that he thinks this is probably the beginnings of a phishing type scam.
They use them for phishing campaigns as a form of social engineering. So my hunch with this one is they probably were after the email addresses, so they can use those for phishing attacks against now 3 billion people.
I always wondered how these people get your email address.
Right. I did too, because it always looks
but you leave your email address everywhere.
True.
True.
That is true. I mean, he said that 70% of the attacks are they start out as phishing attacks. And what they do is they basically just mimic your email address and make it look like it is a legitimate. They get into your address files and stuff like that.
I get things from Chase Bank all the time. I don't have a Chase Bank account, so I know that that's not. But sometimes I get things from Bank of America or other places where I do business.
That's what I was going to say. Have you ever emailed any of those places? That would be the thing.
I had this conversation with somebody just a couple of days ago, and sometimes you forget that there are a lot of people that are still relatively new to doing things online. Maybe they haven't quite, they don't spend the kind of time thinking and learning about these things that some of us do. Right. And my point was, never, when you get an email, never, ever click on a link in an email. Right. If you want to look it up, go online and look it up yourself.
Well, and Shawn,
go to the site yourself.
Shawn said, basically they have even, as far as the phishing scams, they've really honestly changed the game on how they do things.
Back in the old days, we thought of the Nigerian prince and the free money.
Right.
Now it's something like an Amazon order or FedEx delivery or flowers for your mother.
They look at what your email address book is and what you've sent. And, like you said, Amazon, if you order anything on Amazon and you get a confirmation email, when they get your email address, they can hack into that. And so they can just basically mimic that and send you a dummy email address back and prompting you to put in information, of course.
Right.
And that's how they get your actual financial information.
Which is why I never click on any links to do anything. Like if I get a statement from one of my credit card companies or something saying I had a payment and I want to check something, I actually go to the address.
Right. And that's smart. They have gotten so sophisticated in the way that they do this that it's not easy to tell anymore. It's not easy to tell. And so he just basically said, just examine every single link. And if they do ask you for anything, make sure that it's you contacting them and not them soliciting any information.
You probably didn't think to bring this up to him, but we could ask him, Shawn, next time we talk. But I wonder if there's any consideration given to the possibility that it's not just people trying to, mine information so that they can use it for their own financial gain, but possibly is it even possible that there is some industrial espionage going on? Maybe.
I know that there have been attacks in the past that have targeted information not for specific financial gain, but for some sort of, not necessarily
bad
business
PR.
takeover. Right, exactly. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, that has happened in the past, but specifically I can't remember. But yeah.
So this happened in August of 2013, and a couple of years later we did hear about the breach, but we're not hearing about the total breach until now.
Yeah, I asked Shawn about that, and I said there has to be a reason why this came up now, and he has kind of a theory about it. He says that the former CEO was not really big on cybersecurity.
Verizon was doing due diligence into the cybersecurity posture of Yahoo before acquiring it, and that's when Verizon went in with their much more sophisticated security and found that this breach occurred.
Yeah, so it took them wanting to acquire, Verizon wanting to acquire the company to take a look at exactly. I mean, he said that the former CEO had a nickname for the cybersecurity experts on the team and said that they were just spy masters and that they were just looking for ghosts around every corner and didn't think very highly of cybersecurity. In the industry, she was known as not thinking very highly of cybersecurity and thinking that it was a real threat. And so he said that when Verizon, set up to take over the company, they thought, well, we really need to take a good look at this before we take over.
In some ways, it seems really silly that the way we protect ourselves is coming up with, goofy combinations of words and numbers. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we can't remember them. Right. So I've been using a password vault for years now, and it's very helpful, but sometimes even that's confusing. Mm-hmm. What can they do in the future so that we don't have to go through this nonsense?
It's going to come down to, I think, facial recognitions, things like that are specific only to you, mm-hmm. Because otherwise, your passwords can always be hacked, I think. Hacking, this is what we had the SEC, we had Equifax, in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
This is like
and more is coming out about Equifax, and now saying that even more people were compromised than originally thought.
Twice as many as originally thought. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You're never going to be able to totally complete lie. And companies are asking for more and more information these days. When you reset something up, you have your password, you have your PIN number, you have, all these things that you have to do, and it's not really preventing the problem.
What does Shawn say about protecting ourselves?
He said basically, guard the information that you provide. That's essentially what he said. He said just guard the information that you provide to somebody and make sure that it's you, giving it out, and rather than them soliciting it from you.
For example, if you get an email from Yahoo, or these days maybe Amazon, and it has a link that leads you to some site that doesn't have anything to do with Amazon, that's a pretty good idea that it's probably a phishing email.
Well, and it can even appear to be a direct link to Amazon, right. But is it a secure link? And how do you know how to recognize a secure link versus a non-secure link?
What you also can do too is sometimes if you just click on, it looks like it's from Amazon, you just click that portion on.
You don't even have to click it. You just highlight it, just put your cursor on it.
And you can see it's really from, Bob101 at AOL.com. No, seriously.
No, it's just
and
true.
Then it's not real.
Well, Equifax themselves tweeted out, a phishing email address. A
right.
website. Yeah, the other day. It's very hard to do. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you, Robin Guest.
Definitely change your passwords.
Yes.
Robin is our producer, and she did that interview early this morning with Shawn Tuma. Thanks to Shawn for that.